Hello everyone, welcome to History at Bedtime. Tonight, we're going to wander through the forgotten streets, timsels, and canals of a world you may not have expected, where ancient civilizations thrived in ways that still surprise historians today. A world full of ingenuity, ambition, and everyday life that somehow feels both alien and strangely familiar. A gentle warning: this story may make the past feel startlingly vivid. You probably won't make it through this day without feeling transported to another time. And that's exactly the point. Let yourself drift. Let curiosity soften the edges of the present. Before we go further, leave a comment with your location and local time. It's a quiet way to connect our imaginations across the world. Thank you for joining me and letting me wind down your night. I appreciate the company. And if you enjoy letting history unfold slowly, soothingly, and curiously, please like this video and subscribe. Here, there's no rush, only stories waiting to carry you gently through time. Take a deep, calming breath. Let your shoulders relax. Let the day slip softly away. Now, let's ease into tonight's journey. Tonight, we travel to Babylon, a city of towering walls, flowing rivers, and remarkable minds. We'll wander through ziggurats that touch the sky, markets bustling with spices and ideas, and streets where mathematics, astronomy, and art combined in ways that still astonish us today. We'll meet the people who lived, worked, and dreamed here, and discover the hidden brilliance that made Babylon one of the most advanced civilizations the world had ever seen. We start our journey with a step into the warm, flickering light of the city. It's a late afternoon in Babylon, and the air smells faintly of incense, wet stone, and the faintly sweet undertone of the ever-present river. The sun hangs low in the sky, casting long shadows over the towering walls and intricate structures that define this ancient metropolis. The streets, boozy with activity, hum with the rhythm of the day winding down. Traders, craftsmen, and farmers bustle along the crowded thoroughfares, their voices a blend of ancient languages that fill the air like a song. Some of these merchants hawk their wares loudly, while others engage in quieter, more intimate exchanges with passers-by. You might hear the sounds of people laughing, children running with the carefree joy that only ancient cities seem to permit, and the distant clattering of pottery being made, fired, or transported. The scent of fresh bread wafts from the bakeries, mingling with the salt of the river and the tang of metal from nearby smithies. Every street, alleyway, and marketplace tells a story of life, of human ambition, and the sweat of daily labor. There is a certain rawness to it, real, human, with the occasional whiff of excitement or drama. In the distance, you see the imposing silhouette of the great Ishtar Gate, its brilliant blue tiles gleaming in the sunlight, as if daring you to come closer. But for now, it's just the warm hum of the city that wraps around you. And while you're certainly not about to conquer this vast empire or build the hanging gardens, you can't help but be swept up in its energy. But then again, maybe that's the whole point of this evening's journey, to explore a city that once reigned supreme in the ancient world, to simply walk its streets, if only in your mind. But let's be honest, You probably won't make it through this day. I mean, whoever does when faced with ancient history, a bit of ancient sarcasm, and the sweet, sweet pull of sleep. But before you nod off, just remember, if you like what you hear, don't forget to gently tap that like button and subscribe for more historical lullabies. And do drop a comment, letting me know where you're listening from and what time it is in your part of the world. It's a little tradition I'm starting tonight. Now, let's ease into tonight's journey. Babylon is a city of wonders, of brick and stone, of myths and realities, all mingled together. You pass under the watchful gaze of stone-faced gods, their eyes following your every move as you make your way along the dusty streets. The city's walls, built by Nebuchadnezzar II, rise higher than you could have imagined. They are thick, enormous, built to withstand anything, from the weight of time to the pressure of invasion. You've heard that some of the gates were so grand that they were considered works of art in themselves. And here you are, standing within those very gates, feeling the heat of the day on your skin and hearing the far-off buzz of a civilization that defined an age. The pace of life here is slower than you might expect from an empire that once stretched as far as the eye could see. But in Babylon, time is something you don't rush. Here, the calendar is a sacred rhythm, moving between months of planting, harvesting, and feasting. The city pulses with the natural ebb and flow of its people. The Babylonians are, above all else, patient in the quiet of the evenings. You might even hear the whisper of the gods, calling you to understand their ways. Today, though the city has a different, quieter kind of energy, the workers have finished their tasks for the day, and the streets are filled with the sounds of families beginning to gather in their homes. You can hear the soft crackling of cooking fires, the laughter of children, and the occasional bleat of goats. The city seems alive with the mundane joys of daily life, just as it's always been, despite the grandeur. It's this simple life that keeps the walls standing, the heart of Babylon beating, and its people going. It's said that the grand ziggurat, the Etimenanki, stands proudly at the center of Babylon, reaching toward the heavens, possibly inspiring the very Tower of Babel myth. Its grand height still makes you wonder, just how did they build such a monumental structure without the conveniences of modern cranes? Historians still debate whether this impressive feat was as towering as ancient texts describe, or whether it was merely an ambitious exaggeration. Still, it's hard not to marvel at the idea of such a structure standing proudly amidst the city, a reflection of Babylon's ambition, its devotion, and its need to connect with the divine. Now, you pause by a small fountain where water gently splashes in rhythmic perfection. You feel the cool droplets on your skin and realize that Babylon, despite its monumental glory, has moments of serenity and softness, a brief respite from the dust and the bustle. It's in these moments that the city reveals its true nature. Behind the bricks, beneath the noise, Babylon is alive in a way that transcends time itself. As the sun continues to dip lower in the sky, the golden light slowly gives way to the soft glow of evening. It's at this time that the streets of Babylon take on a different air. The rush of the day has dissipated, replaced by a more peaceful rhythm. You feel the slight chill that comes with nightfall creeping in, and you can hear the rustling of people as they make their way toward the homes they've worked so hard to build. The sound of sandals against the cobblestones blends with the laughter of children playing, their tiny feet pounding the earth in carefree abandon. You glance around, and everywhere you look, there's life, a bustling market filled with a sense of spices and incense, the sound of merchants haggling, and the occasional squeal of goats being led to the pen for the night. Life moves at a gentle pace here, but there's always something to be done. You've heard of Babylon's most famous ruler, King Nebuchadnezzar II. He was the one who built the Hanging Gardens, or so the stories say. The thing is, there's some debate on whether the gardens were even in Babylon. Historians are split. Some say they might have been located in Nineveh under King Sennacherib, but that doesn't make for a very good story, does it? Regardless of where they were, the gardens were magnificent, just like everything else Nebuchadnezzar touched. He spent vast sums of money on construction, creating a city so magnificent that even centuries later, people still wonder at its grandeur. It's hard not to think about how Nebuchadnezzar would have walked these very streets. How did he feel when he gazed at the city from atop his palace, which was perched high above the people? Did he ever wonder if it would stand the test of time? His dynasty is long gone, but Babylon still stands, stubbornly holding on to its secrets. Perhaps that's what you'll remember most about this city, its quiet, enduring strength, which, like a deeply rooted tree, withstood countless storms. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. You're still here in the city, standing near the center of everything. You hear a conversation nearby, some locals discussing their day's work, maybe an argument over a recent harvest. It's the kind of mundane chatter that somehow makes you feel at home, as though you too could live here. The steady pulse of Babylon, which seems timeless, is grounded in the everyday life of its people. It's a hum, a rhythm, a heartbeat. And just when you think it can't get any more peaceful, you hear a loud shout, quickly followed by the creak of a cart. The driver, a strong-shouldered man, pushes his way through the crowd, weaving between traders and small groups. His cart is loaded high with goods, grains, pottery textiles, ready to be stored for the evening. You almost laugh, thinking how ordinary the day seems, how much like any bustling market street today. But you stop short when you realize this was once the very heart of an empire. The night has fully settled in now, and the city of Babylon hums softly under the velvety blanket of darkness. The faint glow of oil lamps flickers in the windows of homes and shops, casting shadows against the high, sturdy walls. You can feel the coolness of the night air creeping in, and as you walk, your feet sink slightly into the soft dust of the streets, the earth shifting under your weight with every step. The sounds of the city have softened too, as if the day's bustle has left a peaceful echo behind. The distant murmur of the Euphrates River is the only reminder of the life that still pulses through the city, just beyond the edges of your awareness. At this hour, Babylon's marketplace is quieter, though still alive with movement. Traders have packed up their wares, and families begin to settle in for the night. The rhythmic sound of pottery being stacked and the clinking of tools being set down for the evening is like the closing notes of a day's symphony. The air smells faintly of burning wood, incense, and spices which linger in the cool evening air like a memory somewhere nearby. The rich scent of lamb stew wafts through the cracks of a humble dwelling. Dinner is being served. Babylon's people, it seems, are drawn to the night just as much as the day. It's in the stillness, in the quiet moments, that they share their most intimate thoughts. You pass a small group gathered around a low fire, where an elderly man, his voice raspy and familiar, spins stories from times long past. The crowd listens intently, eyes gleaming with a kind of reverence reserved for ancient wisdom. No matter how fantastical the tale may seem, you overhear bits and pieces. Talk of the gods, of kings, and of the miracles they witnessed, or perhaps, more accurately, heard about. And although the stories may be old, they still resonate with something universal, the desire to understand the world, to make sense of the chaos around them. Tonight, the stars above you seem impossibly bright, almost too perfect in their clarity. If you stand still long enough, you can almost feel the pull of the heavens, the gods watching over the city, silently judging, silently waiting. Some say that Babylon was the center of the world once, a place where the divine touched the earth. Others claim the Ishtar Gate, with its majestic blue tiles and intricate reliefs of lions and dragons, was a portal between the mortal realm and the gods. Perhaps, like everything else in Babylon, the truth of it lies somewhere in the space between myth and history. You pass a market stall where remnants of the day's transactions are still scattered. On the ground, you notice some small, intricately carved stones, remnants of a game, perhaps, or some ritualistic offering. You pick one up, tracing your fingers over its surface, wondering what stories it might tell if it could speak. There's a certain kind of magic in these little things, objects so simple, yet so rich in meaning. Babylon was built on these very artifacts, these small, seemingly insignificant moments that, when pieced together, create a tapestry of a life lived long ago. As you wander deeper into the city, the quiet is punctuated by the occasional soft murmur of conversation, the crackle of firewood, and the distant sounds of the river. You feel the cool stone beneath your fingers as you pass by the outer walls, and the reality of the city seems to settle in your bones. Babylon's history is not just in its grand monuments or its towering ziggurats. It's here in the little things, the touch of a carved stone, the whisper of a tale passed from generation to generation, the way the cool night air seems to carry the weight of centuries. It's then that you see something unexpected. A group of children, no older than 10 or 12, play a game on the cobblestones, their laughter echoing through the narrow alleyways. Their faces, bright with the innocence of youth, are illuminated by the soft glow of a nearby lamp. They chase one another, their bare feet kicking up dust, while an older boy, perhaps their leader, mimics the movements of a great warrior, pretending to wield an imaginary sword. The scene is charming in its simplicity, but there's something deeper about it. This is the same city that once held the mighty Nebuchadnezzar, the rulers of vast empires. And yet, at its heart, it's still just a city where children play, where lives are lived, and where ordinary moments unfold. It's a reminder that no matter how grand or powerful the city might have been, it was built upon the same foundation of human connection, the same human desire for joy, for understanding, for meaning. And that's something that hasn't changed in the millennia. Since Babylon first rose from the dust of the ancient world, historians still debate how these children would have spent their evenings, whether their games were truly as carefree as you imagine them now, or if the weight of empire hung over them, even in their innocence. But one thing is certain: these children, like their ancestors, would have grown up to play their own parts in the unfolding drama of Babylon. Maybe their parents, sitting by the fire, would have told them stories of the great kings and queens of the city. Or perhaps, like every parent, they would have just wanted to tell them something more practical, like how to avoid stepping on a goat's tail while walking home. The night deepens, and the stars above you seem to grow brighter, more intense, as if they are watching, waiting for something. Perhaps they are waiting for the same thing you are, for this night to continue, for the stories of Babylon to unfold, and for you to take one more step through the ancient streets. The following morning dawns in soft golden hues, the first light casting long shadows over the city. You wake to the sounds of Babylon stirring to life again. The distant crow of a rooster echoes through the air, followed by the low murmur of people slowly emerging from their homes. The city begins to stretch and yawn, as though shaking off the last remnants of sleep. You might still feel the warmth of the fire from last night, the gentle memories of the stories shared, lingering in the air. Babylon is waking up again, just like every day before, and every day after. The markets will soon open, the work will begin, and the people will go about their business, just as they always have. And in some ways, that's the beauty of this city. It isn't defined by its grand monuments or towering ziggurats, but by the rhythm of life that continues to pulse through its streets. A day in Babylon is never just a day. It's a continuation of something much larger, something that stretches back thousands of years, and perhaps will continue for many more to come. You breathe deeply, taking in the cool morning air. A new day has begun. As the sun climbs higher, the city of Babylon takes on new vibrancy. The bustling sounds of the market streets fill the air, a cacophony of voices rising in a mixture of haggling, laughter, and the occasional shout of excitement. People are already hard at work, gathering the day's goods and preparing for the tasks ahead. You feel the heat of the sun starting to beat down on your neck, but it's not unbearable. The stone buildings and tall city walls seem to absorb and reflect the warmth, creating pockets of cool shade where people seek refuge from the midday sun. The merchants, their stalls now fully stocked, are beginning their day's business in earnest. The scent of spices, particularly the warm, earthy aroma of cumin and cinnamon, swirls through the air. Fresh produce, fruits and vegetables spill over from baskets, their vibrant colors popping against the gray stone ground. You catch sight of a small group of women weaving baskets, their hands moving with an efficiency born of practice and necessity. Nearby, a potter spins his wheel, shaping clay with practiced hands, the rhythmic sound of his work filling the space between his words as he trades with a customer. This is where Babylon's true heartbeat lies, not in the grand cigarettes or the imposing gates, but in the daily transactions and interactions of its people. It's where the true life of the city plays out, through the exchange of goods, services, and stories. You walk past a vendor selling brightly colored textiles, the fabric fluttering in the breeze like flags of a distant empire. You feel the warmth of the day pressing in, but there's something deeply comforting about the familiarity of it all. This is a city that runs on more than just power or military conquest. It runs on commerce, on trade, on the simple exchange of goods, and the unspoken bond that ties the people together. And then, as you make your way deeper into the market, you catch sight of something that makes you pause. A small statue, perhaps no taller than your knee, stands in a corner stall. It's intricately carved from stone, with delicate features and a serene expression. The vendor notices your gaze and offers a warm smile, his hands moving to gently lift the statue. He explains that it is a depiction of the goddess Ishtar, one of Babylon's most revered deities. You've heard of her, of course. She was the goddess of love, fertility, and war, a powerful figure who held great sway over the hearts and minds of the Babylonian people. You reach out to touch the statue, feeling the smooth surface of the stone, and for a moment you're struck by how deeply this object resonates with you. It's not just a representation of a deity, it's a tangible connection to the divine, a small fragment of the culture and religion that once thrived here. It's a reminder that Babylon wasn't just about power or wealth. It was also a place of spirituality, where the gods were ever present, guiding and watching over the lives of its people. As you continue through the market, you can't help but notice how much religion permeates every aspect of daily life. Everywhere you turn, there are reminders of the gods, their statues, their symbols, their prayers etched into the walls. There are temples scattered throughout the city, some grand and opulent, others small and simple. Each one offers a space for the people to connect with the divine, to seek guidance, or simply to give thanks for the blessings they've received. It's said that Nebuchadnezzar II himself was deeply religious, dedicating much of his reign to the building of temples and the worship of the gods. Under his rule, Babylon became a center of religious and cultural life, a city that wasn't just defined by its military conquests, but by its devotion to the divine. In fact, it was Nebuchadnezzar who ordered the rebuilding of the great temple of Marduk, the chief god of Babylon. This temple, known as Esagila, stood as a testament to the king's piety and his desire to honor the gods who had brought him success. Historians still debate whether the hanging gardens, often attributed to Nebuchadnezzar, were built by him at all, but the grandeur of Esagila and the other temples is unquestionable. As the day goes on, you feel the rhythm of Babylon's life settle around you. You see workers heading to the docks, where boats loaded with goods from distant lands are being unloaded, their cargo a mixture of exotic spices, precious metals, and luxury items. You hear the laughter of children playing near the city walls, their carefree voices cutting through the bustle of the market. The air is thick with the sounds of Babylon, human voices, the clink of metal, the rhythm of work being done. You pause to take it all in. This is Babylon, the heart of the ancient world. It's not just a city of stone and brick. It's a living, breathing entity, full of stories and histories, woven into every corner and every person. You can feel the weight of its past, but you also sense that it's still here, alive in the movements of its people, in the beating heart of the marketplace, in the quiet whispers of the wind that brush against the walls of the great city. You wonder, for a moment, how much of this Babylon exists today. What remains of this grand city, the Ishtar Gate, the ziggurats, the temples? All these monuments stand as reminders of what once was. And yet, the city is still here. In a way, its stories live on, passed down through generations, carried in the stones of the city and the hearts of the people who once called it home. As the day wears on and the sun begins to dip below the horizon, the city seems to settle once more into its evening routine. The streets grow quieter, the markets empty out, and the sound of the river becomes more pronounced. You can hear the gentle lapping of the water against the banks, a soothing, rhythmic sound that blends with the soft murmur of the city. Historians still debate how much of Babylon's grandeur remains buried beneath the modern city of Hilla in Iraq, but there's no doubt that something of the ancient spirit of Babylon persists. The city's legacy lives on in the ruins, in the stories, and in the memory of those who once walked its streets. As the stars begin to twinkle overhead, you feel a quiet sense of awe, a sense of connection to a time long past, but never forgotten. And with that, as the cool night air wraps around you, you begin to walk back through the quiet streets of Babylon, content in the knowledge that you've just experienced a small fragment of one of the greatest cities the world has ever known. The evening sky deepens further, and Babylon becomes a dream in the fading light. You can feel the soft pull of sleep as it beckons, its gentle whispers easing you toward rest. The day's sights, sounds, and scents all blur into a calm, soothing murmur. The city, though bustling with history and grandeur, now feels distant, like a story you've just heard, the echo of its past lulling you into a peaceful slumber. And with that, we leave Babylon behind for tonight, resting in the quiet memory of its wonders and mysteries. Good night, traveler. The night has fully embraced the city, and you can almost feel the passage of time itself slowing. The deep blue of the sky above Babylon stretches endlessly, dotted with stars that seem to hang like forgotten dreams. You feel the pull of the night's cool embrace, but there's still a trace of heat in the ground beneath you, the faint echo of the sun's warmth in the earth. The streets of Babylon are now quieter than ever. Only the occasional footfall of a late traveler echoes through the city, and the soft murmur of distant voices becomes a lullaby for the weary. This is the time when the city begins to feel more like a memory than a place. It's as though the walls themselves are holding their breath, waiting for the dawn to break and begin the cycle once again. But for now, you can almost imagine yourself as part of the city, your steps blending with the soft echo of those who have walked here before. The grandeur of Babylon, its temples, its gardens, its palaces, feels distant now, almost like something from a dream. But it's a dream that continues, ever alive in the whispers of the city. As you walk through the nearly deserted streets, you can't help but reflect on how much of Babylon's essence is wrapped up in the people who lived here. The traders, the farmers, the craftsmen, they all left their mark on the city, not just in the goods they made or the monuments they built, but in the way they lived. You see the echo of their lives in the quiet corners, the fading light of the lamps, and the distant sounds of the river. You've already passed the great Ishtar Gate and the grand ziggurat of a Temenenki today, but now you find yourself standing at the foot of another monument, one that isn't as grand, but still carries the weight of Babylon's legacy. This is the wall where the city's people etched their daily lives, their beliefs, and their stories. Carved into the stone, you can see the figures of gods and kings, their eyes seeming to follow you as you pause in front of them. One figure stands out to you, a warrior king, his face proud and his posture strong. You can almost feel the tension in the stone, as though he is watching over you, guiding you through the streets of Babylon. This is the king you've heard of in the stories, the one who conquered lands and built temples, the one who established Babylon as the center of the world. His name, Nebuchadnezzar, echoes in your mind, a reminder that this was once the heartbeat of an empire that spanned across vast lands. Yet, as you stand there, in front of this ancient carving, you realize something. Even in this monumental, world-shaping city, there were moments of simple humanity. The king may have built grand structures, but his people lived lives just like anyone else. They laughed, they loved, they fought, and they dreamed. This was a city built on the backs of its people, who, much like you, were simply trying to make sense of the world around them. Historians still debate the true nature of Nebuchadnezzar's reign. Was he a tyrant or a visionary king? Some say his construction projects drained the city's resources, while others argue that his devotion to the gods and the arts helped Babylon reach its greatest heights. Regardless of how you view him, it's hard not to feel a sense of awe standing before this monument, imagining the lives of the people who saw it every day, who walked these same streets, and who left their own legacy etched in stone. As the evening continues to stretch into the night, the city feels quieter still. You can almost hear the sounds of ancient prayers floating through the air, the murmurs of people offering their thanks to the gods before they rest for the night. The gods were always watching over Babylon, and perhaps in some way they still are. You feel the weight of their presence, but it's not a burden. It's a quiet reminder that this city, with all its glory and its fallibility, was once a place where the divine and the mortal met, a place where people lived, loved, and died beneath the watchful gaze of their gods. And as you stand there, taking it all in, you find a strange sense of peace. Babylon may be gone, but its story, its spirit lives on. The gods, the kings, the people, they all left their mark on this land, and through the ruins, the stories continue to echo. The night begins to settle deeper now, and you can feel the pull of sleep coming once again. It's as though the very air of Babylon is lulling you into a soft, dreamlike state. The cool night breeze brushes against your skin, and the stars above seem to shine a little brighter. It's time to let go, to rest, to allow the echoes of the city to fade into the quiet hum of the night. The morning light begins to creep over the horizon, casting long shadows over the ancient city. The streets are quiet at first, save for the soft hum of the river and the occasional call of a bird. The markets are still closed, and the air is cool and still, a calm before the day's bustle. As you walk through the city, the remnants of the night still linger, and you can't help but feel that this is the best time to truly experience Babylon. The city is at rest, its streets empty of the usual crowd. For a moment, you feel like you've stepped into a place that is timeless, a city froncin in its most serene state. But soon, the warmth of the sun begins to fill the air, and the rhythm of the city starts to pick up again. The first traders begin to appear, setting up their stalls and preparing for the day ahead. The sound of voices rises, the hustle and bustle of life in Babylon returning to its full intensity. The moment of quiet passes, and the city wakes once more. You pass by familiar streets, now filled with activity. The aroma of bread and roasted meat fills the air, the smell of fresh produce and the sense of spices mingling in the morning breeze. The city is alive again, full of life and movement, but it's not the frantic energy of a modern city. It's a steady, purposeful flow, the rhythm of daily life that has endured for centuries. And with that, you know that your time in Babylon, for now, has come to an end. The echoes of the past still linger, and the city's story will continue to unfold. But for now, you take one last look at the ancient streets. You feel the weight of history in every stone, in every corner of this city, and you know that Babylon, in its glory and its decline, will forever remain a part of you. The sun has risen fully now, and the warm light bathes Babylon in a soft glow, making the stones of the streets shimmer as though they are alive, holding within them the stories of thousands of years. You feel the heat of the day beginning to build, but it's still early enough that the air is not yet oppressive. The rhythm of the city is picking up pace. Each footstep, each exchange, and each movement seems to echo with the pulse of a civilization that once ruled the ancient world. You walk along a familiar street, and the vendors have returned to their stalls, setting out their goods with a kind of practiced ease. It's easy to imagine what this city must have looked like when it was in its prime, when the markets were filled with people from all corners of the earth, their voices a blend of different languages, each exchange a testament to Babylon's status as a crossroads of cultures. You hear the occasional merchant calling out to passers-by, trying to make a deal or barter for a better price. But today, the marketplace is quieter, the deals happening in hushed tones as the city settles into its rhythm. One stall catches your eye. It's filled with beautiful textiles, vibrant silks and fine linens that shimmer in the sunlight. The colors are so rich, so luxurious. You can almost feel the softness of the fabric against your skin. These textiles were once a symbol of Babylon's grandeur, woven with skill by the city's artisans and sought after by kings and queens alike. You can almost imagine the women of the royal courts draped in these very fabrics, their elegant robes trailing behind them as they move through the grand halls of the palace. Even now, the city's artistic legacy continues to speak through the goods it produces, each piece an echo of the skilled hands that crafted them. As you move deeper into the market, you pass by the craftsmen's workshops. The sound of hammers striking metal fills the air as blacksmiths shape tools and weapons with a steady rhythm. You can smell the heat of the forge, mingling with the scent of fresh earth and stone. The blacksmith's fire flickers, and you hear the hiss of metal as it cools, the sparks flying up like tiny stars caught in the wind. It's a noisy, industrious scene, but there's a beauty in the simplicity of the work. The same tools that were used to shape the walls of the city, the gates, and the weapons of its warriors are still being crafted here in the quiet hum of the workshops. Despite the flurry of activity, there is a serenity to it all. The day is unfolding in a way that feels timeless, as if the rhythms of Babylon have never truly changed. The city may have fallen, but its legacy is still alive in the hands of the people who continue to carry its traditions, its culture, and its story forward. You can almost hear the distant sound of the great Ishtar Gate opening, its massive bronze doors creaking as they swung wide to admit a caravan of merchants bringing goods from faraway lands. The wealth and power of Babylon are long gone, but the spirit of the city, its ambition and creativity, remains in the hearts of its people. As you continue walking, you come across a small, quiet square tucked away behind the bustling market. It's a peaceful corner of the city where the noise of the streets fades away, and all that remains is the soft rustling of leaves in the breeze. The square is lined with palm trees, their fronds swaying gently in the wind. There's a small fountain at the center, its water gently cascading into a stone basin. The sound of the water is soothing, almost hypnotic, as if it's inviting you to stop and rest for a moment. You sit on the stone edge of the fountain, feeling the coolness of the marble against your skin. In this quiet space, the hustle and bustle of the city seem far away, and for a moment, Babylon feels like a memory, like a dream you're living in. You watch the water as it flows, its surface rippling with the breeze. You feel a sense of peace here, a connection to the city that's deeper than the stone walls and towering gates. This is the heart of Baby. It's easy to forget, in the grandeur of its monuments, that Babylon was once a place like any other. It was filled with the same human struggles, joys, and sorrows that any city experiences. The kings and queens, the warriors and priests, they were all just people living their lives in the shadow of the gods. And while the city may be gone, its stories live on in the quiet spaces like this one, in the memories of those who once called Babylon home. Historians still debate the true nature of Babylon's downfall. Was it the Persians who brought it to its knees, or was it the internal strife that weakened the city from within? Some say The city's grandiosity was its undoing, that it became too focused on its own greatness and forgot the simple things, the everyday life that had once sustained it. But whatever the cause, Babylon's spirit, its essence, remains timeless. It lives on in the stories, in the memories, and in the quiet spaces where life continues, undisturbed by the pace. As the day wears on, you find yourself back at the banks of the Euphrates River, the lifeblood of Babylon. The water flows steadily, the soft current glistening in the afternoon sun. The city was built on the banks of this river, and it was the river that sustained it through centuries of growth, conflict, and change. The Euphrates, with its deep, dark waters, was both a source of life and a symbol of the city's power. You can't help but feel drawn to it, as though the river itself holds. You stand on the riverbank for a moment, listening to the sound of the water lapping against the shore. The quiet is almost meditative, and for a time, you can almost imagine that nothing has changed. The river has seen it all, the rise of mighty kings, the glory of the hanging gardens, the grandeur of the Ishtar Gate. It has witnessed the daily lives of the people of Babylon, from the lowliest servant to the most powerful ruler. And it continues. Tim, in the distance, you can see the remnants of the city's great walls, the ones that once encircled the city in a protective embrace. They are still impressive, even in their ruin, their stone faces weathered and cracked by centuries of wind and rain. The walls, like the city itself, have withstood the test of time, and though they are no longer the impenetrable fortress as they once were, they stand as a testament to Babylon's strength and endurance. You can feel the weight of history in this place, the memory of a civilization that once ruled the world. Babylon may be gone, but its spirit endures, carried on the wind, in the river, in the stones of the city. It's a reminder that nothing truly disappears. Even the greatest empires leave their mark on the world, etched into the earth, in the memories of the P. As the sun begins to set, casting long shadows across the water, you feel a sense of closure. Your journey through Babylon is drawing to a close, but the city's story will continue long after you've left. There, and with that, as the last light fades from the sky, you take one final look at the ancient city. You feel a quiet peace settling over you, knowing that Babylon's story is far from over. It's only just begun. As the first stars begin to twinkle in the deepening sky, a calm settles over Babylon. The streets, once filled with the noise of markets and voices, are now nearly deserted. You stand at the edge of the city, watching as the shadows stretch long over the ancient stone walls. The heat of the day has dissipated, leaving behind a refreshing coolness that soothes the skin. The soft murmur of the river is the only sound, a gentle lullaby that seems to sing a quiet hymn to the city, now resting in the night's embrace. There's something mesmerizing about the stillness of the evening, the grandeur of Babylon, its towering structures, its magnificent gates, its ziggurats, has been quieted by the passage of time, and in the night, it seems as though the city has melted into the landscape. The walls, once so imposing and invincible, now appear like ancient memories, gently crumbling with the years. Yet there's a peace in their decay, a sense that they have fulfilled their purpose, standing watch over a city that once stood at the center of the world. You walk along the outer edges of this city, where the walls meet the soft soil of the countryside. The sound of the river is louder here, a constant, soothing rush as the Euphrates flows uninterrupted through the land. It's easy to imagine what life must have been like in this area when Babylon was at its peak, when the river carried goods and people from distant lands, when the fields were rich with crops and the air was thick with the hum of life. Now, though the land is quiet, dotted only with the occasional wild plant, and even here, though, the spirit of Babylon lingers. There are small stones, half buried in the earth, their surfaces smooth from the passage of time. You bend down to pick one up, feeling the weight of it in your hand. It's just a stone, really, but in your mind, it becomes something more. It's a part of the city's story, a small fragment of something much larger, something that has endured for millennia. You can almost hear the faint echoes of the people who walked this ground, their footsteps long gone. Babylon's story is one of rise and fall, of glory and decay, but it's also a story of resilience. The city may have been conquered, its walls breached, its temples destroyed, but it remains in the hearts of those who remember it. Its legacy lives on in the stories passed down through generations, in the artifacts and monuments that have withstood the ravages of time. The city may be gone, but a spirit endures, carried in the stones, in the water, and in the memories of those once called it home. Historians still debate the exact reason for Babylon's fall. Some point to the Persian invasion under Cyrus the Great, others to internal strife and rebellion. But whatever the cause, it's clear that the city's glory did not disappear overnight. Even as the empire crumbled, the people of Babylon continued to live their lives, carry on their traditions, and hold on to the memory of what once was. It's a testament to the resilience of humanity, that even in the face of destruction, we continue. And, as you stand at the edge of the city, you feel a deep sense of connection to this place, to its history, and to the people who once lived here. The stories of Babylon are not just the stories of kings and emperors. They are the stories of everyday people, of those who lived in the shadow of great monuments and mighty rulers, and who, in their own way, helped to shape the course of history. The grandeur of Babylon may be. The stars above are now fully visible, their bright light casting a silvery glow over the city and its ruins. You take a deep breath, feeling the cool air fill your lungs, and for a moment, you simply stand there, letting the peacefulness of the night wash over you. There's a certain magic in the air tonight, a quiet, ancient magic that seems to speak of the wonders of Babylon, of its past glory, and its enduring legacy. The wind picks up, rustling through the tall grasses that grow along the city's walls, and you feel a slight chill as it brushes past you. The air smells of earth and water, of ancient stones and distant memories. You walk along the riverbank once more, letting the sound of the water guide your steps. The current flows steadily, unaffected by the passing of time. The Euphrates, like Babylon, is eternal, It carries with it the stories of empires long fallen, of cities fall. You watch the water for a while, the light from the stars glimmering off its surface like scattered jewels. It's impossible not to be struck by the sheer beauty of this place, the way the city seems to blend into the landscape, how the ancient walls stand into silent sentinels, witnessing the passage of time. You can almost hear the echoes of the people who once lived here, their laughter and their conversations carried on the wind, their voices a part of the river's song. The night feels infinite, stretching out into eternity, and for a moment you feel as though you've stepped outside of time itself. Babylon, with all its grandeur and decay, exists in this moment, in this stillness. The city's story continues to unfold, but it's no longer defined by its rise and fall, its kings and conquerors. It's defined by the quiet, enduring presence of those who live. As the night deepens, you feel a gentle pull toward rest. The weight of the day, the journey through Babylon, begins to settle over you. The cool air, the soft murmur of the river, and the gentle rustling of the wind combine to create a lullaby for your senses. It's time to let go, to allow yourself tea. The morning light breaks gently over the land, washing the ruins of Babylon in soft golden hues. The first rays of sunlight touch the ancient stones, casting long shadows that stretch across the ground, and for a moment the city seems to stir again, as if waking from a long, peaceful slumber. The air is still cool, the remnants of the night lingering like a quiet memory. You stand at the edge of the Euphrates once more, watching as the river flows steadily, its waters carrying the weight of centuries. In the distance, the once proud walls of Babylon rise from the earth, their grandeur softened by the years, but still formidable in their size. You feel a sense of awe looking at them, imagining what they must have been like in their prime, standing tall and strong, a symbol of Babylon's might. The walls were built to protect the city, to shield it from the outside world, and for centuries they did just that. But now they are silent, the echoes of battles long past fading into the dust. Still they stand as a reminder that Babylon was once a force to be reckoned with. The streets of the city are quiet in the early morning, the sounds of life still distant, but you can sense that the city is waiting, holding its breath, ready to come to life once again. The faint scent of fresh bread wafts on the breeze, a reminder that even in its decline, Babylon still has its moments of ordinary human beauty. The simplicity of daily life is what gave the city its strength. The farmers tending to their crops, the artisans shaping their wares, the traders exchanging goods from all corners of the world. It was the heartbeat of a civilization that, despite its monumental achievements, was built on the sweat of its people, the quiet labor of countless hands. You take a slow, deliberate step forward, feeling the weight of history pressing gently against your chest. The story of Babylon, its rise and fall, its triumphs and tragedies, is woven into the very fabric of the land. You can almost feel the presence of those who walked these streets before you, the kings, the priests, the workers, the traders, all of them leaving their mark on the city, on this land, on this history. It's said that the Babylonians were a people deeply connected to the heavens, that they looked to the stars for guidance, for meaning. They studied the movements of the planets and the constellations, using them to chart the passage of time, to mark the seasons, and to understand the cycles of life. The knowledge they gained from their observations formed the foundation for much of the ancient world's understanding of astronomy and mathematics. The Babylonians' ability to measure time with such precision was unmatched, and their contributions to the field of science continue to echo through the centuries. As you stand in the quiet morning light, you can almost hear the soft whisper of the gods in the wind. The Babylonians believed that their fate was written in the stars, that the gods had a hand in shaping their lives, and perhaps, in some small way, their belief was right. For even now, centuries after the fall of the city, Babylon's legacy lives on in the stars above and in the stories of those who lived here. Historians still debate the significance of Babylon's contributions to the ancient world. Some argue that the city's greatest achievement was its military might, its ability to conquer and hold vast territories. Others point to its architectural marvels, like the Ishtar Gate and the ziggurats, as the true symbols of its greatness. But perhaps the true legacy of Babylon lies in the quiet, enduring beauty of its everyday life, the way the people lived, the way they connected with the land, the way they looked to the stars for meaning. The day has begun in earnest now, and Babylon is slowly coming to life. The air is warmer, the sun higher in the sky, and the once quiet streets are starting to bustle with activity. The sound of footsteps, the chatter of merchants, and the clinking of goods being exchanged fills the air. You step into the heart of the city, moving through the market. As it awakens from its morning slumber, the marketplace is alive with color and sound. Traders call out to passers-by, trying to catch their attention, while others haggle over prices, their voices rising in a dance of negotiation. You can hear the laughter of children running through the stalls, their carefree energy, a reminder that life in Babylon, despite its grand history, was still very much about the ordinary moments, the simple pleasures of a day well spent. You pass a stall where a merchant is selling pottery, intricately designed bowls and vases, each one unique, each one a small masterpiece. The skill of the artisans who created these objects is evident in every curve and line. You can't help but pause to admire one of the vases, its surface adorned with delicate patterns and symbols that seem to tell a story all their own. This is the beauty of Babylon, the way art and everyday life were so seamlessly intertwined. Even the most ordinary objects, like a bowl or a jar, were crafted with care, with a sense of purpose and artistry that elevated them beyond their practical use. As you continue through the market, you see a group of women sitting together, weaving baskets from reeds. Their hands move with a fluid grace, their fingers working quickly, but with the care of years of practice. You watch them for a moment, captivated by the rhythmic motion of their work. These baskets, like the pottery, are more than just functional. They are works of art, crafted with skill and precision. Their patterns, telling the stories of the people who made them, You can feel the energy of the city building, the pulse of life, quickening with every step you take. Babylon is a city of contrast. Its monumental structures, its towering ziggurats and grand gates, stand in stark contrast to the quiet, everyday beauty of its people's lives. The grandeur of the city's past is still felt in its walls, in its temples, in its statues, but it's in the simple moments, the small acts of creation, that Babylon's true spirit lives on. Historians still debate what made Babylon such a powerful and enduring civilization. Some point to its military strength, its wealth, and its strategic location along the Euphrates River. Others argue that it was the city's religious devotion, its belief in the gods and the divine, that gave it its strength. But perhaps the answer lies in the balance between these two forces. The way Babylon combined the grandeur of its architecture and its military might with the quiet, steady rhythm of daily life. The city was more than just a collection of monumental structures. It was a place where people lived, loved, and worked just as people do today. As you continue to walk through the city, you begin to realize something. Babylon's greatness wasn't just in its monuments, its kings, or its conquests. It was in the people, their creativity, their resilience, and their ability to create beauty in the simplest of things. Even as the city fades into history, this spirit of creation, of living in harmony with the world around them, remains. With the marketplace now fully awake, the rhythm of life in Babylon feels almost tangible. Every corner of the city, every step you take, seems to echo with the stories of those who once called it home. Their lives may be long gone, but their legacy endures in the stones of the city, in the stories passed down through generations, and in the quiet moments where life continues to unfold. The spirit of Babylon is not just a relic of the past. It is a living, breathing part of the world, carried forward by those who remember it, and by those who continue to walk the same streets in their own time. As you wander deeper into the city, the light begins to shift, casting a golden hue over Babylon's ancient structures. The sun is now high in the sky, but there's a softness to its warmth, as though it's gently cradling the city in its light. The air hums with the sounds of life, the chatter of merchants, the clink of metal, the calls of vendors offering their wares. You walk past the temples, their towering columns reaching toward the heavens, a testament to the devotion of a people who believed that their gods walked among them. But there's more to Babylon than its magnificent temples and grand structures. As you continue your journey, you notice the smaller details, the intricate carvings on the doors of a modest home, the painted murals on the walls of a local shop, the flickering shadows cast by oil lamps in the windows of the city's quieter corners. These small, personal touches bring the city to life in a way that the grand monuments cannot. It's in these moments that Babylon's true soul is revealed, not in the towering ziggurats or the great gates, but in the everyday acts of creation, the personal expressions of art and devotion. You stop in front of a small building, its stone walls worn by centuries of wind and rain. The door is adorned with a carving of Marduk, the chief god of Babylon, his powerful figure towering over the entrance. It's a simple image, but it carries with it a sense of reverence, a reminder that the gods were always watching over the people of this city. You can almost feel the weight of their gaze, the sense that the divine was present in every aspect of life, from the grand rituals at the temples to the quiet moments of daily work. Historians often debate the nature of Babylonian religion. Some argue that it was primarily a religion of power, a way for the kings to legitimize their rule and control the people. Others suggest that it was a deeply personal faith, one that connected the people to the divine in a way that transcended the state. What is clear, however, is that religion was woven into the very fabric of Babylonian life. The gods were present in every corner of the city, from the grand temples to the simple homes, and their influence could be felt in every aspect of life. You continue your walk, passing by the bustling marketplace and the crowded streets, and you find yourself once again at the river's edge. The Euphrates flows steadily, its waters shimmering in the midday light. It's the lifeblood of Babylon, the river that brought trade and prosperity to the city, that connected it to the wider world. You stand for a moment, watching the water, and you can almost hear the whispers of the past, the sounds of merchants unloading goods, the calls of traders haggling for the best price, the gentle lapping of boats against the shore. It's easy to imagine the vibrancy of the river when Babylon was in its prime, when the waters were filled with the movement of people and goods, when the city pulsed with life. The river, like the city itself, has seen it all: the rise of kings, the fall of empires, the passage of time, yet it remains unchanged, flowing steadily through the centuries. It's a reminder of the eternal nature of Babylon, even as its walls crumble and its people fade into history. The Euphrates continues to carry the stories of the city, its waters flowing through the heart of the land, just as they have for millennia. Historians still debate the true significance of the Euphrates in Babylonian life. Was it merely a source of water and trade, or did it hold a deeper, more symbolic meaning? Some suggest that the river was a representation of the gods themselves, a divine force that shaped the destiny of the city. Others argue that it was simply a practical resource, essential to the survival of the people. Whatever the case, it is clear that the river was central to the identity of Babylon. Without it, the city would not have thrived as it did. As you watch the river flow, you realize that this is the essence of Babylon, a city that existed between the realms of the divine and the mortal, a place where the sacred and the everyday were intertwined. The gods may have watched over the people, but it was the people themselves who built the city, who created its monuments and its legacy. The grandeur of Babylon was not just the work of kings and emperors, but the work of every person who lived here, from the artisans who crafted the city's treasures to the farmers who tilled the soil and brought food to the marketplace. The day begins to wind down as you make your way through the city, the sun sinking low in the sky and casting a warm orange light over the streets. The sounds of the market have quieted, the bustling activity of the day slowly giving way to the more peaceful rhythm of the evening. You hear the occasional laughter of children playing in the streets, the soft hum of families gathering for their evening meal, and the distant sound of music drifting from a nearby home. There's a sense of calm now, a gentle stillness that settles over the city as the day draws to a close. You find yourself walking through one of Babylon's quieter neighborhoods, away from the grand gates and the towering temples. This part of the city is less ornate, more intimate. The houses are smaller, simpler, but there's a certain beauty in their simplicity. The walls are decorated with murals, the windows open to the evening air, and the soft glow of oil lamps flickers from within. You stop in front of one house where you can hear the sound of a woman singing softly, her voice rising and falling in a quiet melody. It's a song, you realize, about the gods, about Marduk, the protector of Babylon, and the way he watched over the city and its people. It's a simple song, but there's a depth to it, a sense of devotion and reverence that touches something deep within you. You stand there for a moment, listening to the song, and for a brief second, you can almost feel the weight of Babylon's history, the lives of the people who lived here, woven into every note. This is the heart of Babylon, the quiet moments, the simple acts of devotion, the everyday rhythms of life that gave the city its strength. It wasn't just the grand monuments or the military conquests that made Babylon great. It was the people, their faith, their creativity, their resilience. Babylon was a city built on the belief that the gods were present in every aspect of life, that the divine was not just found in the temples, but in the streets, in the homes, in the hearts of the people. As the sun sets and the stars begin to appear in the night sky, you feel a sense of peace settle over you. The city, once so grand and mighty, now seems quieter, more intimate, as though it has finally found a moment of rest. The stories of Babylon, the rise and fall of kings and empires, the grandeur of its temples and its walls, have faded into the past, leaving behind a quiet, enduring legacy. Babylon may no longer be the mighty empire it once was, but its spirit remains, carried in the hearts of those who remember it, in the stories passed down through generations, and in the quiet moments like this one, where the city's true essence is revealed. As the stars shine brightly above, you take one last look at the city, knowing that its story will continue long after you've left. The walls may crumble, the temples may fall, but Babylon's spirit will live on, forever etched into the landscape, carried on the wind and whispered in the quiet moments when the world seems to stand still. The night settles deeper now, the warmth of the sun long faded, leaving only the cool embrace of evening. Babylon is a city at rest, but it's a restful kind of silence, a stillness filled with the weight of history. The stars above shine brightly, like tiny fragments of ancient light, each one holding a story of its own. Just as the stones of the city do, you stand beneath the vast expanse of the heavens, letting the quiet surround you, feeling the connection between the city and the cosmos. There's something almost meditative about walking the ancient streets of Babylon at night. The city, with all its grandeur and drama, now feels like a dream, soft and distant, as if you've entered a space outside of time. The ruins, the once imposing structures, the grand ziggurats, they all seem to blend into the landscape, becoming one with the earth and sky. The sharp angles of stone soften under the gentle light of the moon, and the wind whispers through the streets like a secret. You feel as though you've become part of the city, walking through its memory, wrapped in the quiet embrace of the night. At this hour, there's no sound but the occasional rustling of leaves in the trees and the soft murmur of the Euphrates, its waters flowing steadily through the heart of Babylon, just as they always have. The river, which once carried goods and travelers from distant lands, now seems to carry only memories, flowing silently through the ruins of the city, as if it too is remembering. You stand on the riverbank for a moment, watching the water as it reflects the light of the moon, its surface rippling gently in the breeze. The calm is almost too perfect, as if time has stopped for a while, allowing the city to breathe in the cool night air, to rest before the day begins again. The ruins around you are a reminder that nothing lasts forever. No empire, no city, no monument. And yet, in this moment, there is a sense of permanence in the stillness. Babylon may have fallen, its kings and emperors long gone, but the spirit of the city remains. It's in the whispers of the wind, in the quiet murmur of the river, in the very stones beneath your feet. Babylon's story, its greatness and its decline, is woven into the fabric of time, carried on in the memory of those who lived here, in the remnants of their lives, their beliefs, and their dreams. Historians still debate what led to Babylon's eventual decline. Some argue it was the overwhelming power of Persia, while others point to internal strife, to the weakening of the city's once mighty rulers. Some say it was the changing tides of history itself, an empire too grand, too ambitious, to stand the test of time. But whatever the reason, Babylon's greatness was eventually eclipsed, just as all empires are, leaving behind only fragments of its former glory. But in these quiet moments, in the cool embrace of the night, it's easy to forget the fall, to focus instead on what Babylon was, what it meant, what it created, what it inspired. The legacy of Babylon is not just in its monuments or its kings. It's in the quiet, everyday acts of its people, the artisans who crafted beautiful pottery, the traders who brought goods from faraway lands, the priests who worshipped the gods in the grand temples. Each one played a part in shaping the city, in making it what it was. The grandeur of the ziggurats, the walls, the gates, they are impressive, but they are only the outward expressions of a city built on the labor and creativity of countless individuals. In the quiet of the night, it's the memory of those people, their lives, and their work that seems to resonate the most. You leave the riverbank and continue through the quiet streets, your footsteps echoing softly against the stones. You pass a few homes, their windows dimly lit, the sound of quiet conversations drifting from within. The life of Babylon continues, but now it's the everyday lives of ordinary people that fill the space, not the kings and emperors. The night has a way of putting things into perspective, reminding you that the true spirit of a city is not found in its monuments or its rulers, but in the hearts of those who lived there, who worked, who loved, who created. As you make your way through the narrow streets of Babylon, the light of the moon shines down on you, casting soft shadows on the ground. The city is quieter now, the sounds of life fading as the night deepens. But there's a certain tranquility in this quiet, an intimacy that feels like a secret, a glimpse into a time long past. You pass by a small temple, its stone pillars still standing tall despite the centuries of wear. The doors are closed, but you can almost imagine the faint echo of prayers, the soft murmur of worshippers drifting through the cracks in the stone. Babylon's religion was a powerful force woven into every aspect of daily life. It wasn't just the priests who worshipped the gods, but the entire city, from the grand temples to the small shrines tucked away in people's homes. Babylon was a place where the divine was always present, where every action, every decision was believed to be influenced by the gods. The king may have been the earthly representative of the divine, but it was the people who truly connected with the gods, offering their prayers, their sacrifices, their devotion. The great temple of Marduk, Esagila, was the center of Babylon's religious life, but it was only one of many. The city was dotted with shrines, altars, and statues of the gods, each one a reminder that the divine was ever present in the lives of the people. As you walk through the streets, you can feel the weight of this spiritual connection, as though the gods are still watching over the city, guiding its people. The belief in the divine wasn't just a part of Babylon's religion, it was a part of its identity, its soul. You pass a group of people gathered around a small fire, their faces illuminated by the flickering light. They're speaking in low voices, perhaps sharing stories, perhaps offering a prayer. Their conversation is quiet, but there's a warmth in it, a sense of community that feels timeless. This is the heart of Babylon, the connections between people, the shared moments of life that make a city more than just a collection of buildings. You can feel the weight of their lives, the history that has shaped them, the stories they carry with them. In the quiet of the night, it's easy to forget that Babylon was once a mighty empire, that its rulers and kings commanded armies and conquered lands. Instead, you see the people, the everyday life that made the city what it was, the laborers who worked the fields, the traders who brought goods from distant lands, the artisans who created beautiful works of art. All of them played a part in shaping the legacy of Babylon. It wasn't just the grand monuments that made Babylon great. It was the people who lived here, who built the city, who gave it life. As the night continues to deepen, you feel a sense of peace settle over you. The city is at rest, its great history now a quiet memory. The grandeur of Babylon is gone, but its spirit remains, carried in the quiet moments, in the whispers of the past that drift on the wind. You take one last look at the ancient city, knowing that Babylon's story, its legacy, will continue to live on in the hearts of those who remember it. And as you walk through the streets, the cool breeze brushing against your skin, you can almost hear the city whispering to you its secrets, its stories, its triumphs and its losses. Babylon may have fallen, but its spirit endures, a part of the earth, a part of the history of the world. The city of Babylon, despite the centuries of decay, still holds a power, subtle, silent, but undeniable. The moon is now high in the sky, casting its silver light over the ruins, and for a moment you feel as though you've been transported back in time. The walls rise before you, strong and unyielding, their stones a reminder of the city's former glory. Babylon was once the center of the known world, a place where power, knowledge, and culture converged, a city that defined an era. But now, in the quiet of the night, it's easy to see that its power was not just in its military strength or its wealth, but in the people who lived here, the workers, the merchants, the artists. Each one contributed to the greatness of Babylon, each one shaping the city in ways both big and small. Babylon was not just a place of kings and empires. It was a place of everyday life, where people lived and loved, where stories were shared, and where the spirit of creation was alive in every moment. And it's in this quiet, intimate view of Babylon that its true greatness lies. You make your way toward the outer edges of the city once more, where the ruins of the great walls loom like ancient giants against the night sky. The silence here is profound, almost reverent, as if the city is waiting, holding its breath, knowing that its time has come. But even as the city rests, even as its monuments fall to dust, its spirit endures. The memory of Babylon is etched into the land, carried on the wind, whispered through the ages. And as you stand before the great walls of the city, you realize that Babylon's story is far from over. It lives on, not in the ruins, but in the hearts of those who remember it, who carry its legacy forward. The spirit of Babylon is not confined to the past. It is alive, a part of the world today, carried by the stories we tell, by the history we preserve, and by the people who continue to walk its streets, even if only in their dreams. As the night continues to unfold, you take a deep breath, filling your lungs with the cool night air, and let the weight of Babylon's history wash over you. You feel its presence all around you, the echoes of its people, the whispers of its gods, the quiet hum of its past, still resonating through the earth. The city may have fallen, but its legacy is everlasting. Its monuments may crumble, its kings may be forgotten, but Babylon's spirit lives on in the stories we carry forward. And as you close your eyes and drift into a peaceful sleep, you know that Babylon will continue to live within you, a part of the timeless flow of history, a city that will never truly fade away.